Okay, good evening. I call the Select Board meeting of January 9th, 2024 to order. This meeting of the Hopkinton Select Board is being held both in person and remotely using the video conference platform Zoom. We expect that all members participating in the meeting are present in the meeting room or will be present in the meeting room. We do not expect Irfan to join us tonight. So I will entertain a motion to move into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Purpose 3, to consider strategy with respect to negotiations with the fire union. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A, Purpose 6, to consider the purchase, lease, sale, or value of real estate in relation to properties in the vicinity of Town Hall and South Street, property comprising part of the Elmwood 3 subdivision development, and parcels owned by Umana off Chestnut Street, because an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the board. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Purpose 3, to consider strategy with respect to litigation, Armand E. Sabatini, trustee of the New England Laborers Training Trust Fund et al. Versus Town of Hopkinton et al., because an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the board. Approval of executive session minutes to allow Norman Camalo and Elaine Lazarus to participate in the executive session and to reconvene an open session at the conclusion of the executive session.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying, oh no, it has to be a roll call. Mary Jo.
Yes. I vote yes.
Yes.
Muriel Kramer, yes. So we will be back. Thank you. Okay, welcome back. We'll reconvene. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I just check and make sure that Irfan is not on the Zoom? Amy? Ben? No, he's not. Okay. So I don't think Irfan is going to be joining us tonight. Okay. Our next order of business is the public forum. Residents are invited to share ideas, opinions, or ask questions regarding town government. Do we have a resident coming forward?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Connor Deegan. I'm actually here speaking as town clerk, though I am also a resident of 48 Hillcrest Drive. I'm here regarding the one proposed draft that's for the town meeting warrant this time. I will say, upon reading it, I initially heard about it when it was discussed a few meetings ago. I was disappointed to see that we're talking about a major local election reform without any consultation with the election office here in the town. There are a lot of challenges to passing this kind of legislation that would dramatically affect how we run elections in Hopkinton. And the fact that we weren't consulted on how this could be implemented, if it's possible, if it's something that we can really do, it's unfortunate. I think the only person who came to me to ask my input was Mary Jo. And I want to make that clear first. I will say my concerns outline around, I know just timeline-wise, I feel like we haven't done due diligence to discuss how something like this could be implemented and reviewed the process for it. I can only see that this was triggered through an independent article on 11/20 and then brought up as a potential article on 12/5. If we're going to look at something this severe and possibly altering of how we are going to operate local elections, I think it's very important that we take a step back and really review how we're going to do that. Especially with this being a local initiative, we're going to eat all the cost of it. We're looking at a significant amount of workload increase in my office, at least another full-time person. As well as potentially a new method of tracking individuals who would be registered to vote for local elections rather than for state and federal elections. I would ask that if we're going to consider doing this seriously, that we take a step back and really look at doing this the right way rather than a way that's might be more expedited. I'd rather us look at real pragmatic reform than expedient reform that is going to potentially come back to bite us. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you hearing me out.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else here for public comment? Is there anybody on the Zoom for public comment?
People, but no hands raised.
Okay, perfect. We have on our agenda an open invitation for any member of the public to come forward and share ideas, opinions, or ask questions regarding the FY25 comprehensive budget. So do we have anybody here that would like to ask questions or speak on the budget? Okay. We have the following items on the consent agenda: minutes for December 14th and December 19th. Accepting a gift, to consider accepting a donation of $250 from Francis and Thomas Marquinot for the library. A parade permit application for the Hoyt Memorial Run and Walk on May 25th. And a parade permit application for the Boston Marathon on April 15th. I'm going to ask the board to consider item D separately. Did anybody else want to take anything else
Yes.
off the consent agenda? Separate.
Anything besides D? Or just D?
D. Yep. Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda A, B, and C.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Okay. Okay. For D, Mary Jo, did you want to say something?
Well, I don't understand why it's in the consent agenda. For one thing, we've never done it there. We've always had it at a bigger meeting and later in the year so that we have a better idea of some things, and we have no input from our various departments. Either they feel like they haven't had enough time or enough communication to fill it out. And I just don't see why it's being done this way, where every other year, last year it was done February 28th, where we approved the parade permit, and we had a number of people here, and there was quite a discussion, and that's the way we've done it all the time. And I'm not saying that because we've done it that way, it always has to be done that way, but there's not enough input from anybody, from the Marathon Committee, from the police, from the fire, from any of the town officials that we usually get input from before we approve these things. And, you know, and I don't really feel the same way about, you know, people are going to say, well, the Hoyt application, but the Hoyt application was very extensive. I mean, it had everything. And even to photographs and of the route and all that kind of stuff. So that I had no problem with, but this just, it's not complete, and it doesn't feel right to me.
If I may,
We should have it at a later date, when there's
Yes.
more information.
yeah, through the chair, I'm respectfully requesting that we withdraw the parade permit application for the Boston Marathon.
Okay.
And we could hear it at another meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
What's that?
Do we need to take a vote to respond, or we just?
I don't think so. I think that we're comfortably going to put it on a future agenda item when we have had input from the Marathon Committee and all the town departments. Okay. Board committee appointments. The Select Board will consider making an appointment to the Hopkinton Historic District Commission for filling the remainder of the unexpired term expiring June 30th, 2025, for a nominee of the Board of Realtors serving Hopkinton General Bylaw Section 123-4. We have an applicant, Danielle Pepin of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Commonwealth.
And she's on Zoom.
And she's on the Zoom. Can we liven up Danielle?
I'm getting
Oh, okay. There she is. Okay.
Hi, Danielle, can you hear us? Hi, how are you tonight? Can you hear us? Oh, we can't hear you.
She has two. She has two
Hold on.
participation.
IT's trying to look at it.
Yeah, he's trying to troubleshoot here.
You know, on Zoom, we have two of her participants.
Yeah.
That might be it.
Well, I think one is HCAM.
Well,
Our technicians are hard at work. Can you try one more time? Do you hear us, Danielle? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, if
We
you,
don't hear
if you
you.
want to dial in with phone,
Or do you have headphones that you could plug and unplug or something?
So she's on the Zoom through the chair. She's on the Zoom, and you can hear her in the Zoom, it's just not being output.
It's not being outputted to the room,
Oh.
okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so just a second.
While we are waiting, when did this discussion
Maybe 2 meetings ago?
happen?
I don't either, I'm sure he's right, but I don't have any, I'm not sure it's why. The speakers are working. So we don't know what's going on. Can't figure it out. Danielle, please accept my apologies. Happily for you.
Oh, here's something.
Say it again.
Yes.
I think we hear you.
Oh, do you hear me?
Yes. I just had to give up, and then it was all happening. So welcome to the board, Danielle. Thank you for putting your name in for the position. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and your interest in the position?
I've lived in Hopkinton for almost 20 years, been a realtor going on 12 years, and my manager just asked if I'd be interested in the position, and I thought it would be a great way to give back to the community.
Great. Does anybody on the select board have any questions?
Just how familiar are you with the historic district?
Just from living here. So no particular specialty.
I was just going to say welcome. I'm on the Historic District Commission as well, and our Realtor rep, Minisa, has been, her term expired quite a while ago, and she's been staying on and coming when she can, but I think it would be great to have a new person take her spot.
Great.
Thank you for
I look
stepping
forward
up
to it.
and thank you for stepping up and volunteering. I just wanted to hear from you what interests you in the Historic District Commission.
I just think it's so important to keep the history alive of Hopkinton. I cannot believe the changes that I've seen in the past 20 years living here, and I just think it's really important that we keep the history alive, so people will know how the town came to be and all the important things that happen here.
Thank you. Thank you for stepping up.
So I'll entertain a motion to appoint Danielle Pepin to the Hopkinton Historic District Commission Board of Realtors nominee to a term expiring 6/30/2025.
I move to appoint Daniel Pepin to the Hopkinton Historic District Commission Board of Realtors nominee to a term expiring 6/30/2025.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you so much, and thanks for your patience with us on the Zoom.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care now.
Now the next person will work this.
Yes. The next order of business is that the Select Board will consider confirming the town manager's appointment of Samantha Polk as an administrative assistant in finance and Theodore Gutwill per diem dispatcher. Mr. Kamalo.
Through the chair, I'm requesting that Christine Merrill do the introduction of the new employees.
All right, thank you very much. Through the chair, I'd like to introduce Theodore Teddy. He goes by Teddy Gutwill. Teddy has applied for and is being presented for per diem dispatcher for our public safety department. He has most recently worked for the town of Berkeley as a per diem dispatcher. He's had some training in there over the last 5 months. He's also had several seasonal summer jobs while in college at the Boston Harbor Yacht Club, and doing some landscaping through Fergali Landscaping, and has also worked at Able Limousine and Dick's Sporting Goods. Teddy has an associate's degree in criminal justice and an interest in criminal justice. And references revealed that Teddy is a very hard worker who goes the extra mile. His supervisor at the yacht club stated he is calm and able to keep his cool under pressure, certainly something important for a public safety dispatcher, and works well with demanding customers. Another reference indicated that Teddy is a quick learner, follows instructions well, and knows when to ask questions. And we ask references, in what kind of environment will a candidate succeed? And one of Teddy's references said he really wants to make a difference and be part of a team. Our interview panel consisted of Kevin Reese, Public Safety Dispatcher, Jessica Leverance, Benefits Administrator, and Megan Durad, Communications Director.
Great.
Megan, do you have anything to add?
You pretty much summed it up, Kristen. You know, obviously I echo everything that she had to say. He presented very well in his interview, and you know, we look forward to having him on board.
Great. Well, I get to ask the really happy, fun question usually. We love to have folks just take a minute to introduce themselves in their own personal, I know we have your materials and we've had an opportunity to look at them, but introduce yourself and your interest in Hopkinton and what you hope this job will bring for you working here in Hopkinton.
I'm Theodore Gutwill. I go by Teddy. I'm young. I'm 22 years old. So growing up, my dad's been a law enforcement officer, so I've got to watch him and see what he does to help his community. And it's something I've always wanted to do. So dispatch is a good way for me to get my foot in the door and to keep doing it and do what I like to do. All I want to do is just help people make a better difference with my community. And I've grown up in Ashland. I know Hopkinton. I just feel like this is a great start for me.
Great. Well, welcome and thank you for introducing yourself. Do we have any questions from the board?
I just wanted to know a question, but
Yeah, just know, say welcome. I think that he will do a fine job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for choosing Hopkinton and welcome.
And you're joining an amazing team, so I think that'll be a wonderful relationship in both directions. I think they're going to be really happy to have you, and I think you're going to be really happy to be part of that team.
and I just wanted to add, I like that you already have a little bit of per diem dispatcher experience, because I think that really helps, and that you can be calm under pressure at the yacht club, because that's what we need. Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Definitely what you need. All right, well, thank you. So would anybody like to make the motion?
I move the motion to appoint Theodore Gutwill as per diem dispatcher.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, and through the chair, we next have Samantha Polk, Administrative Assistant, Finance, who is replacing Lori St. John, who moved to the Land Use Department recently. Samantha joins us from Joint Ventures Physical Therapy in Wayland, where she worked for almost 2 years as a credentialing and patient care coordinator. She also worked at Middlesex Savings Bank in Westboro for almost 3 years as a banking specialist and a senior customer service representative. And she also worked at Milford Bank for almost 2 years as a teller and customer service. And she has a bachelor's degree in business administration. References revealed that Samantha is always professional, pleasant, kind, patient with the public. We were told she knows how to interact with people on many levels. She's organized and does a great job staying on task. We were told that she does best in a busy environment, which is good because our finance department certainly is. We were also told she likes to have several projects on her plate at once and that she will be an excellent representative for the town. And we had 2 panels that Samantha interviewed with. The first round panel consisted of Diane Hendrickson, a former treasurer collector, John Neese, Principal Assessor, Ben Ledoux, IT Support Specialist, and Jessica Levens, Benefits Administrator. And second round, we had Elaine Lazarus, Assistant Town Manager, CJ Paquette, Assistant Treasurer, Renee Chen, Deputy Assessor, and Jessica Leverins, Benefits Administrator. And Renee is here for moral support. She's going to be doing a lot of training of Samantha in the coming weeks, so we welcome Samantha.
Well, welcome, and we, you know what's to come next. We invite you to introduce yourself a little bit to the community and tell us what you're looking forward to about being part of the finance department and working here in Hopkinton.
Yeah, so I have obviously 5 years in banking, so I get to put that to good use again. And I just finished over the summer my bachelor's degree in business administrative, which did have a lot of financing and accounting, marketing and management, like all of that tied into it. Fun fact, I did live in this town for a year between 2018 and 2019.
It counts.
It does count. My sister is also a resident of this town. She has been, and she's been through the school system here. She actually lives behind. And I'm just excited to start something new and to be a part of something and to get some good experience.
Well, great. Welcome. We're excited to have you as well. Anybody on the board have other questions?
Just a comment that we really appreciate hearing about your experience and banking skills. They're great, because we really need some new staff in the finance department, so we're happy to have you, and it looks like you're very well qualified, so welcome.
Yep, just thank you for your interest and choosing Hopkinton. Your background is great. So finance department certainly is a busy and complex and multitasking. A lot of stress during budget time, so need a lot of help. Glad you're here. Welcome.
And a little shout out to the HR department for all the good work you're doing. Yeah, a lot of hiring and interviewing.
A lot of me in the coming weeks.
Oh,
So
good.
that's awesome. We appreciate all the hard work. Okay, say it again?
If I may,
Yes, please.
through the chair, I know Christine alluded to this, but I just want to underscore Renee's role in this process. In addition to her regular duties, she's stepping forward to support the new administrative assistants coming into the finance office. She has participated directly in developing their new onboarding plan, and she will, in addition, be responsible for overseeing the cross-training between the two administrative assistants. And again, she's doing this above her regular duties. Thank you, Renee.
Thank you.
I really appreciate that, and we really appreciate the concept, to everybody involved, the concept of cross-training so that we, build our strength on the bench. We really appreciate that a lot.
Thank you, and we're, on behalf of the assessors and the treasurers, we're very excited to have Samantha on board. We feel she's a tremendous asset to our team, so welcome, Samantha.
Great. I will entertain a motion.
I move to appoint, sorry, go back to the,
Samantha Folk.
I move to appoint Samantha Folk as executive assistant to
The administrative.
administrative assistant to the finance department.
Is there a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Congratulations, thanks so much. Now, this is the part that everybody likes the most. We take a picture with all of our new, Megan, I saw that hard eye roll back there. And I just want you to know, I'm probably tattling, Select Board member Amy made sure she had the right shoes on for this very important event. I, however, did not pay such close attention. Come on forward. Come on in. We put the these right up. Renee, come on in. Sorry, working that. I will. You got that, everybody. Hey. 1, 2, 3. Don't exactly know why I did the circuit, but I did.
Oh, that's good. A little exercise.
Couple steps.
Yeah.
Not enough, but a couple. Come on forward.
Let's have a.
There's a little reunion going on out there. I like it.
Out there.
You know what?
My,
And finding reconnecting with an old friend. How nice is that?
just those 2 months.
Okay. Our next order of business is the annual greenhouse gas report and progress on climate action plan. Love the presentation. I'm looking forward to it. Do we have it up?
I was hoping you could put up the presentation.
I'm hoping the same.
Did we send it to Ben? Ben needs to have it put in the back.
I don't know. I'm waiting to find out. Do you have it, Ben?
It was in the package, right?
It was in the package, yeah.
Okay, page 30 through, starting on page 30.
Do you have the package, Ben? Oh, okay.
I think it should be
Great.
better.
I have one.
Yeah.
I did one.
Huh? We'll just take a nice calming pause. That's right.
Yeah. Good.
The timing of your report is great.
Sounds right.
And also, the state recently issued its report on climate change.
It's going to be the perfect time. It keeps getting worse.
Yeah, and also coming in right after the World Conference on climate change. It's good to see that Hopkinton is playing a significant role in transforming.
Hey, there we are. Thank you.
Thanks for having us tonight. I'm Jeff Rowland. We're the Climate Action Work Group subcommittee of the Sustainable Green Committee. With me is Amy Groves, Nicole Simpson, I believe we have Paul Gallagher on Zoom tonight. Slide please. And Julia's with us. So tonight we'll talk about the climate projections for Hopkinton, our initial greenhouse gas inventory, and climate action plan for our Hopkinton for the past year, as well as our wetlands highlevel plans for the next year, and steps we're hoping to partner with the select board on. Take it away, Amy. Next slide, please.
So on slide 3, my job is to scare the bejesus out of everybody, so we're going to get off with a great start here. The next 4 slides are projections of what will happen to us here in Hopkinton if the world does not do anything more to address climate change. So the reason to look at this is to say, this is why we're doing what we're doing. This is going to happen to us if we don't, keep working at this. And this comes from the state. This is the climate change projections dashboard from Resilient Massachusetts. And what they did, they had a really good method for predicting this stuff. They used a stochastic method that they got from, I think, Cornell, which involves running a massive number of simulations, just hitting it and hitting it and hitting it. And then they take the one that's right in the middle, the results that are right in the middle, that's the middle line. And then they take the least and the most, like 10%, the middle line is 50%, then they take 10% and 90%. So depending on the chart you get, it's either the best case scenario, the worst case scenario, or it's the greatest and the least, it's whatever applies to that chart. The idea between 10 and 90 is to exclude outliers. But this is a really good method of predicting it, not just based on past data, but through simulations. So what we see is a rise in average annual temperature in Hopkinton. If you start with a baseline from 1950 to 2013, where there wasn't a lot of change, it's amazing that they can do a baseline over that many years. But that started at below 50 Fahrenheit, and by 2090, it goes up to almost 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Which might not seem like a lot, but that's a huge amount of change. And as you've already heard, if you do any kind of gardening or growing or anything, we're in a completely different growing zone, and it's just going to keep getting worse. On the next slide, 4, we see the number of days above 90 degrees in Hopkinton, and that's starting to look even worse because when you think about 90 degrees, that's when you start thinking about people having serious health problems. If they see too many days above 90 degrees, that's when our older people start having trouble because maybe they don't have the right air conditioning or whatever. That's when people are having respiratory problems. The bugs are getting crazy and starting to bite us to death. And this is a big problem here. So it causes significant damage to our ecosystem. And then on slide 5, what we see also at the same time is projected number of days below 32 degrees in Hopkinton. That's bad that line is going down because we need a certain number of days above freezing. This is only the days where it actually hits 32. I mean, what we need is 32 for a while to get that ground to freeze for a while because it regulates the water cycle, it controls pests and also preserves certain pests that we need, certain amphibians and burrowing animals, and it preserves the balance between predators and prey. So it hits flora and fauna both. And then on slide 6, what we see here is it's the projected maximum precipitation daily in Hopkinton, and this is in inches. So this is a really big problem for us. You've seen tonight the massive, having a lot of rain here, but flooding is already our biggest natural climate problem in Massachusetts. It's our natural disaster problem, and especially in Hopkinton where we have all these lakes. 2 really big ones. I'm told there are actually 4 lakes in Hopkinton total. But this is a really big problem for us that's rising. And then finally on slide 7, that's my last slide. We already are seeing that Hopkinton's climate has changed. And these are just some examples. I picked one from every category where we've seen it already in Hopkinton. We see in land and vegetation, you know those sugar maples on the town common? One of the reasons that they're failing and dying is because of climate change. There's also some very compacted soil and there's some rock salt coming in. But if you have a sugar maple in your yard, it's probably looking as bad as mine is. We're not going to have them much longer. We have a lot of species of wildlife and here in Massachusetts that are failing. They're protected or endangered. We've seen the times when we could not go swimming in our swimming areas, the swimming holes. This is because of the algal blooms. And there are 2 or 3 different kinds of algae that are coming into play here. But what people don't realize is not only can you not swim there, do not let your dogs swim from that. They could actually die from those algal blooms. So this is a problem for everybody. Then, of course, we have flooding. And then we have the more days above 90 degrees, as I said. Problem for our school children, some of whom do not have air conditioning in the schools. Problem for older residents. And then for the rising utility costs. They're challenging those who are struggling to stay here in Hopkinton. We've got a big problem with that. And it's really not good for commerce and industry and the economy in general, those rising utility costs. So now that I've said all these horrible things, I'm going to show you what we have found to do about it. So I'm going to pass it back to our next speaker.
So internally, we refer to those prior graphs as the oh my God slides, because when you really process what the change is going to be over the next decades, you see that our kids and our grandkids are going to be living in a completely different climate than we have right now. If you think back to when you were a child, we already have a different climate. We're not seeing the winters that we used to. We're seeing far hotter summers. So what are we going to do about it? Obviously, this is a global problem, and we have our part to play in it. So in our climate action plan, here we have our donut graph. We have 3 main areas of emissions in town. We have our on-road emissions, which are residential and commercial vehicles, residential buildings, and commercial and industrial as a whole, because we don't have a breakdown of commercial buildings versus commercial emissions yet. Those are our 3 main areas that we need to tackle. And through our initial drafting of the climate action plan, we've come up with a list of high-level items that will have the greatest impact towards this. So installing heat pumps and reducing our fossil fuel usage in all of those buildings, residential, municipal, commercial, to electrify the heating and cooling of our homes, installing solar panels across all of those sectors as well, to green the grid along with it, switching to electric vehicles, to reduce the emissions from our on-road component. A municipal aggregation plan, which Julia and staff have been working on, which will help jumpstart the greening of our energy supply, and partnering with business and industry to help reduce the emissions there as well. On the next slide, we have a little further breakdown of the emissions. So you can see a few more details. We don't need to dig into all of them on where those emissions are, but that's how we generated the simplified version of the graph. There's still some areas within this we don't have data yet, but our top level items we believe still hold. Passenger vehicles, residential buildings, and commercial and industrial. You can also see where our emissions are coming by fuel type, whether it's electric emissions, which would be emissions simply from using the electricity. The grid itself has emissions because they're generated somewhere else, so we count for those in the process. Our natural gas and our fuel oil, because we're still using those in our homes and other buildings, and our gasoline, for our vehicles. So on the next slide, we can see that over the last few years, 2017 to 21, our emissions have actually declined a little bit, even as Hopkinton has grown significantly, which is a good thing, right? We can see we've gone from a little over 200,000 tons of CO2 equivalent to, well, just over 200,000 still. But our emissions per capita on the right side of that slide has decreased as well. So all good signs, but, oh, and again, we only have 2017 through 2021. It takes a while for the data to come through, so it might be another 6 months to a year before we have 2022 data, or 2023. We'll be updating this annually. But on the next slide, we can get a little broader picture on the direction we need to go. So that orange line shows where we've been going. The blue line shows where we need to be going, and the green line is kind of our path to get back to our 50% reduction target. There's a lot we need to do, and those major bullet points we specified will help us get there. We're not going to see, I think, a standard linear reduction over time. We're most likely going to see some big jumps in certain areas, such as municipal aggregation. Excuse me. A lot to do, huh? So, next slide, we can talk about what the Sustainable Green Committee has done over the past year. We spent a lot of time on community education and engagement. We had events talking about the Climate Action Plan and presentations to the Women's Club that was very well attended. An event all focused on heat pumps, on home energy efficiency, and mass safe heat loans. We had our annual recycling and energy drive, collecting all sorts of stuff through the Green Team junk removal, and we had vendors there representing Black Earth Compost, for example, and more. We had tables at Polyarts, Hop 101. We had, I believe, 2 different EV expos we were participating in. We were at the farmers market. The Sustainable Green Committee members have been all over this year. It's been a busy year. Big win for the year, the net zero resolution passed at annual town meeting back in May, setting our goal for net zero by 2025. The first draft of the Climate Action Plan was completed. So you can read that draft through the link. And through Julia, we were able to secure a $35,000 grant through the Metro West Area Planning Council for community engagement, which we'll be working on the next year with our Climate Action Plan. So for 2024, on the next slide, we'll be using that grant to host a whole bunch of events to get feedback on what Hopkinton can and should do towards net zero. We'll be refining the Climate Action Plan to be more readable and more digestible. Julia and staff will keep working on the municipal aggregation plan and try to get that pushed forward in, I think it's going to take 12 to 18 months. Yeah. But the wheels are turning. The specialized energy code, which we talked about at special town meeting, we will be reintroducing it at annual town meeting. The Sustainable Green Committee voted to put that on the warrant last night. So it hasn't been submitted yet, but I'll get that paperwork done soon. But we'll be focusing on some of the feedback that we received at town meeting and trying to address those concerns of the residents. Because we still believe it is beneficial for the town's emissions and financially for the town. But we need to tell that story a little bit better. And of course, we're going to continue our long list of community education events for the coming year. So, next up, Julia's going to tell us a little bit more about the Climate Action Plan and community engagement.
So as Jeff alluded to, there is a lot to do, and even though we've seen reductions over the past years, that's not a reason to be complacent. To get to 50% reductions by 2030, there has to be some major strides. And so community engagement isn't just to get reciprocal input, it's also to help our residents, our business owners, our stakeholders feel like stewards and owners of this process. And so we're starting out in the idea collection phase, and so we held a drop-in event a couple months ago. As we move into February, we'll be working with our selected consultant to have a staff meeting. It's a workshop similar to the process we used for the municipal vulnerability plan, and this is a way to gauge staff capacity, staff imperatives, and make sure that our goals are aligned.
Can I ask you to hold on one second? We're getting indication that people can't hear on the Zoom this presentation.
Just maybe move the mic closer.
Just, yeah, maybe move them closer and speak right up.
Testing.
Let's hope.
I heard that.
Good? Okay. So we're really excited about this process to help engage both municipal staff and our residents. We'll be holding an open house, and this open house, the purpose is really to gain an understanding of what the barriers are for making strides towards climate actions, and also to collect some ideas from our residents on potential action items. We'll be holding a business resiliency event where we will connect with our developers and our business owners, both local and large, to understand what they need to move forward with climate actions. We'll be holding a senior climate health event to inform our seniors residents about heat pumps, about how to stay cool in the summer, and also to show them that they are also stewards of a resilient Hopkinton. We'll be having a youth climate summit, which will include an art competition and will allow our youth to feel empowered throughout this process. We'll be holding focus groups with our homeowner population and our EJ population. We'll be holding an open house later in the summer to prioritize the actions identified throughout the process, leading to the action plan reveal and implementation blueprints that will be created by the consultant at the end of this process. And this will really help us move forward to the finalization of the climate action plan. And so the rest of the team will speak a little bit more about our ask to you as we move forward in this process.
Next slide, please. So I think you're all familiar with the specialized code that we brought to this special town meeting in November. This is a new greener building code that was introduced at the beginning of last year in January for municipal opt-in. It's really about two main things: pre-wiring and on-site solar for new construction when there is a fossil fuel connection to the home or business. It's now been adopted by 31 municipalities, which represent 25% of Massachusetts' population. So even in the past 2 months since we last presented this, it has continued to go up. And we expect that in the spring, where there's a lot of annual town meetings, that number will continue to grow of municipalities adopting it. We're bringing it back to special town meeting, annual town meeting, as Jeff mentioned. Because unfortunately the vote did fail in the special town meeting, but there was interest in learning more, so we're investigating more of the impacts and addressing the concerns that were raised, and hoping that there's more data available that we can share and help the community to understand why this is important and why it's a positive thing that we want to do. Unfortunately, a consequence of it not passing then and bringing it back at the next meeting is that the implementation date, the effective date, is delayed. So rather than being July of 2024, it would have to be January of 2025. And based on historical data, we know that means probably 15 to 20 homes will be built not under this code. So that's unfortunate, but we're going to take this next opportunity and try to get it in place. We know this this is a crucial step to take for reducing our emissions. We can't achieve our net zero goals without this, without addressing buildings. Buildings are such a significant percent of our emissions, and to continue to build without this in consideration just doesn't make sense. This is the most cost-effective way to address emissions of building our homes and businesses right from day one. Something else that we realized is a benefit of implementing this is it enables us to apply to be a climate leader community. This is a new program that is available, and a prerequisite of being able to be a climate leader is that you have to have the specialized code adopted, and that would allow us to gain access to more grants. I'm not going to skip to that slide, but in our backup slides, we do have a map of the towns that have already adopted this, and you'll see there's a huge cluster right surrounding Boston and surrounding towns. So it's coming closer to our area. So some neighbors that, we definitely compare ourselves against and expect that to continue to grow. That's who's going to have access to these grants, and we want to be one of those municipalities as well. So next slide, please. So to summarize ways that we're looking for partnership with the Select Board, the first thing is from our net zero resolution, we included that the Select Board would identify boards, committees, and departments that would set targets and make plans to reduce their emissions in accordance with the net zero resolution. So for that, we'd be looking for you to decide on a list, and we would be supportive of these groups with helping to identify ways to reduce emissions. To help that process, we included a list you can see in blue on the right side there. Departments we think would be good candidates for it, particularly for emissions reductions, who have responsibility for buildings, land, and have those opportunities, vehicles. We also included on here policy partners, so not directly responsible for emissions, but the net zero resolution includes everyone. It includes residents and businesses as well as municipal departments. So setting the right policy will make a huge difference. And so we just wanted to highlight those groups as well, but there could be some we missed, or you may have a different set in mind. So we'd be looking for you to help identify that so those groups can get started on creating their own plans. Those events that Julia talked about, we would love your support and participation there to continue to build engagement within the town. The specialized code, we would really appreciate if you considered it. We can provide more details at another meeting, and if you would consider supporting it at town meeting. And I just wanted to say thank you for your partnership historically with our group, and for climate action this year, providing guidelines for sustainable events anytime someone applies for a permit, and all the ways that you've been supportive of our climate action. So hoping to continue that partnership. That's it.
Amazing. Thank you very much. This is incredible. I'm getting sort of lost in the supplementary slides. I'll have to stop that. First of all, thanks for a really incredible, easy to digest presentation on a lot of material that is actually pretty high level and complex in some ways. Really important for us. I also really appreciate the events that you've had and your little energy safe house, or your energy forward house. Cut it out. It's incredible, right? The grant and all the initiatives, and the pressure, but it's in a good way, I hope, to keep advancing and keep thinking about ways that we can really work this really big problem as assertively as possible. So I personally appreciate all you've done. I don't know that I have any questions, but we'll look forward to opportunities to partner and support your work, I'm sure. Anybody else have questions, or?
I have a couple of questions and some comments. First of all, thanks for the wonderful presentation, very data-driven and informational, and of course, scary in many ways, but that's what we need to be
Good job, Amy.
cognizant of and take actions on. So thank you, and it's wonderful to have such a knowledgeable and hardworking committee to do so much research and educate us and continuously pushing the envelope. And I attended the event as well, and it was a wonderful event. I was fascinated by the dedication all the members have put in, all the nice ways to communicate and present and build graphs or build models. It was really wonderful. So thank you for all the work that you are doing. I think it's a great example of how, thinking global but acting local is clearly demonstrated with all the efforts you do, and everyone should do what you are doing. Every town should do, if not already. So thank you for that. And special thanks to Julia. 2 months in or 5 months in, and you did a wonderful job. Our investments have, ROI is high already. But no, thank you. It really takes a lot to come in and do that. Appreciate that. Just some thoughts. I think for the building code, it's great that we have 31 communities already doing it since early 23. So by the next town meeting, we'll have almost 18 months of data. So I think that'll be very important to collect, as I'm sure you are on it, and to demonstrate the economic impact and first the environmental impact, which is the main one that we want to demonstrate, and then the economic impact, which I think was some of the concerns in terms of the builders and modification costs and cost versus benefit, things of that sort. So it's great, 18 months in. And let's see, I think, with all the information and there were a lot of support I heard. It was more kind of wait and see how it matures. So I'm optimistic about that. The other one, I thought that, I don't know about other towns, especially our neighboring towns, but I think the work that you all are doing is phenomenal and outstanding as far as, the information, the presentation, the research and communication. Have you probably have done that. My question is, how are you thinking about partnering with neighboring towns in building the voice, a larger voice, and get into action as well?
Sure. So we're in touch with similar groups in a whole bunch of neighboring towns. I would struggle to list them all, but particularly Westboro, we've had a great partnership with. We co-hosted the EV Expo with them. Was that in September or October? And we frequently have chats with members of their committee. I know Julia is in touch with her counterparts in neighboring towns as well. I field emails from chairs of groups all over. Word of our various presentations has gotten, and similar, we reach out to others to hear as well. I don't believe there's any formal effort to bring all these groups together. Everyone's very busy. It's hard to add more meetings. But yeah, we're building the network.
Yeah, glad to hear it. Well, keep up the good work, and definitely as many ways as we can be of assistance.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just had a couple of questions, and they may be more directed toward the town manager too, but we have really aggressive goals for the net zero resolution. Are any articles coming before town meeting, like any purchases of vehicles or buildings of buildings? Will they meet these? They'll have heat pumps, or they might be electric or hybrid vehicles that we're purchasing? Do we know?
So the edition is aiming for.
Okay, I know the Marathon School.
For heat
Not the
pumps.
Marathon, the Elmwood School, yeah.
Yes, we, as a community, we do have an efficient fuel vehicle policy, which has been in place for some time. However, as we know, that policy coming from the state level does exempt the larger vehicles.
Right,
and we know that the trucks are the major culprits in this process. However, I also, from my conversations with CIC, there is an interest in at least getting some conversation going in town regarding how we balance our desire to meet the net zero goals and at the same time address the cost to the community. I think I welcome this opportunity because there's been a lot of work that has been done to confirm that in the long term, the efforts that we take in conservation and managing gas emissions is profitable to the community. However, can I ask a question related though? Most recently, the state issued its forestry report, which is now going to allow more logging to take place in Massachusetts. Have you considered that issue, and how does that impact our emissions going forward here in Hopkinton?
So, excuse me, we have numbers on the average emissions sequestered per acre of Hopkinton forests. I wasn't aware of that report. I'll need to look that up. So we can, if we know how many acres, for example, are going to be logged, we can, get an estimate of what the impact there is going to be.
Thank you.
Right, and the other question was too about like incentives for the aggressive goals, like getting everybody in town, like residential, I think was 30% of our emissions. Getting everybody in town to install heat pumps is a big ask. Will there be any kind of incentives for that? Like in 2013, we did a Solarize Hopkinton project. And if more people bought in, the cost of installing the solar was lower. So a lot of people who, like, I'm just thinking for myself, example, like my heating system is old, but it's not old enough that I have to replace it. But if I knew there was an incentive, I'd be more likely to move quicker on it. Whereas otherwise, I might just wait till I really had to replace it because it's expensive. Would we have to become one of those? There's a special community thing, a climate leader community to do stuff like that.
Maybe two-part answer. The incentives, last I checked, were still in place from the state, so that if you run your home completely on some kind of heat pumps, whether it's ground-sourced or duct system or those mini splits, you can get $10,000 back from the state, and I did that. We did that. The check came with no trouble. And there are other rebates as well. If you partially use heat pumps or something like that. There are also some incentives for other kinds of appliances and things like that, but they come and go. So that's coming from the state. And this other question you asked was, do we have to have an official designation to get some of the grants? And that's true. And in fact, there's a link between getting the specialized code passed and being able to qualify for more money, right? So there are a lot of different things going on there, but yes, you can definitely, and you can just go to the state website and find out about it.
So we should definitely talk that up. We're voting on it in May, that we'll get more grants, both for the town to purchase things and the homeowners. Yeah.
If I may, to add to the answer, I think specifically, Mass Save is a fantastic program with massive incentives. That program is available for residents right now. And I think we have an opportunity to market that concept. There are incentives that are available.
That is in our list of goals to market it better.
Yes.
Additionally, the Mass Save program is going through a big overhaul this year. I don't think we know the details yet where it's going to go, but they want to make some big changes. So stay tuned.
In addition to that, it's not just the state incentives, but there's also federal, from the Inflation Reduction Act, heat pumps across the country are going to make a big difference with climate action. So we'll see that as well.
Yeah. The only thing I was just thinking of, it was that in 2013, it was that fear of missing out. Like if you jumped in right now with the solar in 2013 with Hopkinton, like it really made you take the leap, whereas you could wait. Even though Mass Save is always there, we've done it a few times for our house too. Okay, that's all I had.
One more point. Paul Gallagher, our other member who's on Zoom, I think, is training as a heat pump advisor.
Oh.
So he can help coach people on their various options as they convert their homes from fossil fuels to heat pumps.
Okay.
Awesome. And just piggybacking on to the chair, quick question. Are you aware of any other town having any incentive program for heat pumps or any such initiatives?
So there was a group of neighboring towns, I forget exactly which ones, it was like 5 towns that grouped together to try to get bulk rates on heat pumps, and I think it was solar as well. But I didn't hear that it had much uptake, and I don't know the full story there of what happened.
Sure, but from the town, there was no incentive on taxes or any?
None that I know of.
If I may, too, this is a conversation that has been going on in the town for a while. I actually am going to reference what John Moser constantly asks for, that when we have opportunities to accomplish savings through green initiatives, that we should earmark those savings towards creating some incentives for other members of the community who may not be able to afford them. So that's an idea that is out there.
Green fund.
It's amazing. I love that idea.
Well, I know Amy said it was her job to scare us all, and I think she's done a good job at that. This is wonderful. This is a really nice presentation, and I love the climate action plan and the community engagement. I just want to see that keep moving, and I'm looking forward to going to some of those things. And I was wondering, are we thinking anything of having a day like we did one year, taking up the people's trash and garbage and things like that? I don't mean to, I mean, it had to be furniture and all that kind of stuff, but we did have they come and picked it up, and it was great. It was very successful, and I would like to see that again.
So we have held an annual recycling event. We're currently planning when the 2024 event is going to be. April or May is kind of the timeline at the moment, I think. I'm trying to settle on a date where we collected various things through Green Team junk removal. Mass Save was there for the dehumidifier rebates. A lot of people showed up. I think we collected a couple hundred dehumidifiers actually for that. And people got a $30 rebate coupon when they brought that in. Project Just Because showed up as well to collect whatever they could. Please, Andrew.
Yeah, and I know you're very interested in the marathon, so we didn't do it this year, but the year before, right before the marathon, we did a cleanup in the area, and the DPW was really helpful, and we had a lot of businesses donating snacks and things like that. So we are always looking for that, to do that. Sometimes we partner with the Scouts, but that is something that we would like to do. And especially as we get to this big one this coming year, we're going to have the anniversary, right, of the marathon. So it would be a good candidate to do that this year.
Lawrence from Concom held, I think it was called Yellow Bag Day last year, which was an equivalent of what we had done in prior years. It's an awful lot of work to coordinate that event. And this past year, we just didn't have the time to do it ourselves, but I'm glad that Jeff picked it up.
Great. My other question is, I'm looking at this, and you're talking about heat and things. Are you recommending gas over electric and oil?
No gas.
No gas, no gas. That's what I thought, but it wasn't really clear to me. So no gas. Electric or oil is the better source, cleaner source for heat too, I'm sure.
When we talk heat pumps, we're talking about heating and cooling systems that are electrically powered. And it's not, one thing that we have to help educate is people think electric heat and they think, isn't that expensive? Isn't that inefficient? And that was true of the old technology, but heat pumps are different. They do work in cold climates. And that's what we really have to get the word out. Just like Amy had, I think all of us have some form of heat pumps in our homes. And so, so yes, that's part of this effort to electrify homes. So there's other aspects of that, of other home appliances, your clothing dryer, your cooking, your water heating, but heat pumps, especially in New England, is the biggest difference you can make with reducing emissions in your home.
About 80% of your home's emissions come from heating and cooling, air and water. That's it. So if we can do that more efficiently, we can make a big difference.
This is a great job, and, you know, I was a liaison for a while back in White. You guys have really come a tremendous way from when it started, and congratulations.
Thank you, Mary Jo.
Keep it up.
so much.
Try it.
Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, the climate is affecting me.
Okay, so our next order of business is really just to announce that we're going to be doing our FY24 midterm evaluations. And so HR has shared the form that we'll use, and it'll be on the agenda on the 30th. Any other information, Mr. Kamalo, to set this up necessarily?
No, other than, again, it's an opportunity for the board to continue the conversation with its direct reports on performance, as well as offering the board the opportunity to express how best it can support town hall staff.
Great. Okay, so if anybody has any questions, definitely reach out to Kristen in HR.
So can I ask, this form that's in our packet?
Yeah.
Page 52, should we kind of mentally ourselves fill that out, what we think for each thing, or this is something the employee will fill out? Is that self-evaluation, or?
The suggested way is that perhaps the chair should preliminarily sit with the direct reports to confirm the work and the goals, and then that form, based on the conversation between the chair and the direct reports, will articulate the specific goals that the individuals have been working on, and then board members can then contribute to their own assessment of how those goals have been delivered. Again, making sure we're on the same page in terms of the goals that are in place, and then giving the board the opportunity, the rest of the board members, to provide their assessment. Obviously, the employee has the opportunity to provide their comments, and the form, in fact, has a section where the employee can provide comments.
Oh, okay. It's different than we had last year, that's why. It's a little
Yeah,
confusing.
this is the mid-term evaluation, which is different from the end-of-year evaluation.
Yeah, we've only done end of year before.
And then in our next packet, will we have a refresher for the public and for us about what everyone's goals were for the previous year?
Correct.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, great. All right, so it's always a fun time. The next order of business is 2024 annual town meeting. So the select board will discuss its potential May 6th, 2024 annual town meeting articles, including any general bylaw changes in an article to petition the general court to extend voting rights for lawful permanent residents. So I don't know how much we are prepared to talk about that tonight. I don't know if everybody has thought about that. Do we have other articles besides that one?
In fact, the idea is if the board has any other articles that we just go through, yes, now is the time.
This is the moment, right?
Exactly, because the warrant will close.
I'm working on one. It's to petition the general court for home rule petition to exempt seniors over 65 and a certain income. We haven't come to the income yet. And from the school portion of the tax bill. I can't do the school and the MWRA at the same time because we don't have the figures or anything there, but we do have the school figures. I got some information that 13% of the entire population is over 65, but many of those won't qualify, so, and we did that, of the 19,249 in the population, 2,562 would be over 65 years of age, and not all of them will meet the income requirement, whatever that turns out to be. So it shouldn't be a huge amount of money. We have to, I've been in touch with people in various places for more information. The assessors have given me the list of those who already get the 61, but they're 70. And Chapter 61, and some of them don't actually live in their own homes. I mean, that's part of this process, too. We want to keep people in their own homes. And it's only a portion of the entire taxes, so we really have to crunch these figures and try to get more figures from the state and a few other places. Connor's been helping me. I'm in touch with I think it's Jonah in Karen Spilka's office, and when we're ready, they will help us, but I'd like to hold a space for that article.
I was just going to say,
That we can put the figures in it when we get them, because we just don't have them all right now.
And by our next meeting will be the last time before the warrant closes.
Yeah.
What date does the warrant close? The 6th of February?
6th of February.
6th. Okay.
January 30th meeting is the last one.
Sorry, through the chair, just for my notes, is it the entire school budget, or is this request tied to capital projects?
It's only for the school project, school building project.
Capital project.
That's it, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not for anything else, just that increase, and of course, it will be attached to everybody else's tax bill, but I really don't think it's going to be a tremendous amount of money, so it doesn't look like it anyway.
I'm glad you're looking at it, and I think the numbers that you're collecting, the analysis, that will really help tremendously. Like what exactly is the budget impact, or what exactly is the...
You know, I'm compiling them as fast as I can, but,
I can help.
you know, I'm trying to get to talk to Tim O'Leary, because he has given me advice on this before. So I shot him an email. We'll see what happens, and that's where I am. I mean, I'm hung up on money.
I definitely support some need-based relief if it's allowed by law, yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think some of the other things it's a balance, because you can't be discriminating against people with children, because they might also be having income struggles, but if it's allowed, yeah.
Yeah, but this is to keep people seniors in their houses. I mean, this is, and, you know.
Right, but we also want lower income families with children to be able to stay in town too.
Yeah. While we're at it,
And if it's needs-based, that's.
Yeah, that could be a different exemption. There is a clause in the assessor's office to help people.
Okay.
It can be for 1 year, it can be for, you know, an extended period. It's not going to be forever.
we're going to run it with the council anyways, right? Yeah.
I think it's called Clause 18 in the general laws.
And related to that, one question I had, maybe Norman can help. The tax exemption budget that we have, I think, is small or is struggling. What I heard from Sue Curry was in that.
The tax relief fund?
The tax relief
That's
fund.
the tax relief fund.
Anything we can do directly or through warrant to help that?
That's a tricky one.
Yes, that's a very difficult question. In terms of directly funding that fund from a town appropriation, that's almost impossible, I should say. However, we are speaking right now about how we can send the message out to the community in terms of supporting the tax relief fund. In fact, there's a draft press release that came through this afternoon that should be issued shortly.
Yeah, the catchy thing about that is in the legislature, they cannot solicit.
Yeah.
And that makes it much trickier for them than any other organization.
They can't even have bibs, right?
They do have true bibs, yeah.
They do, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we all as individuals can tell our friends and family to donate to the, or
Yeah.
invite them to.
Okay, so next meeting, our next meeting is actually the 30th, and that will be the last meeting that we can add articles to the warrant. So if anybody has any to suggest, I suggest sending them in with placeholders so we get a chance to discuss them.
Do we want to discuss the home rule petition a little bit, or?
We can, I didn't prepare anything for tonight. I will prepare something for next time, but if you have something prepared or want to say something.
Prepared, but I just wanted to state too that a number of towns have passed something like this, but nothing is taking effect because the legislature would have to ask. So by us having a thing, I wasn't actually expecting that it would just show a signal to the legislature to work something out. So it's
Right.
the same for all towns. Not
What
that
is
we
it?
would necessarily change first.
What is it about?
That would allow lawful permanent residents who are not citizens to vote in local elections. Like Boston passed it recently.
Yep. I think Cambridge, I mean, I've looked a little bit about it around,
But
and
not actually taking effect.
I was just going to say, I wish it was causing a lot of work. I don't think it is yet. But I do think that getting into the conversation and finding out how people feel about it is important, particularly for a town that is happily so much more diverse than it ever was before, with residents who are impacted by our taxes and by, our school decisions and so forth, and rightly would want to have a say in those formally. So I'd love to have the conversation. I'm happy to do a little bit more research on it as well.
I'm one that's not in favor of it, so.
Okay.
I just think that you should be a citizen if you're making decisions about what happens in this country. And some of these people will be voting in two countries, even if it's local. I mean, their own country and this one, because they're here on work visas and not here in a path to citizenship. And voting is an opportunity. It's also a right. It's also something very special for citizens of the United States and us even as a town. And people are here on work permits. They're taking advantage of our towns, of our society, of everything we have to give.
Really careful how we speak.
Huh?
I just want to be really careful how we speak, and we speak in inclusive and welcoming ways.
I'm speaking of everybody that's, my mother was an immigrant. My
No, I
grandpa.
just want to make sure we are speaking in ways that are very welcoming and open, right?
Oh, I welcome everybody, but if I went to Ireland and got on a 10-year visa and bought a house and did everything, I still wouldn't be able to vote in that country unless I was a citizen. And I think most of the countries in the world are that way, and I just feel, maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I just feel very strongly that it's something very special for the citizens of this country. That's all.
So I just would like to, I was raised to vote. I've voted in every election I've ever had the opportunity to vote in that I know of. It is a very special right and privilege, but I think that the conversation, this is me personally, the conversation to make sure that we are including the votes of folks who live here and pay taxes here and are raising their families here is an important conversation to have. I think we are, this is not my tagline, but I think we are better together. It's somebody else's tagline for sure, but I really hope that we can have a vibrant, respectful, and inclusive conversation on the idea. Okay. I think the town manager's report is next.
Main Street Corridor Project, I reaching out to Dave, Michelle, and Nicole just to get a sense as to how we're planning to resume the construction. So soon they will have an update for the community on what might be happening come spring. And then the PFAS filtration project, I'm reporting to the board that the completion of the project has now been delayed until May 2024. And this is largely due to the delays in the production of the frame-supported membrane structure. This is the structure that goes around and everything goes inside. We are told that work will be resuming on January 22nd, and hopefully this is the last time we hear about an extension to getting this project going. We know the community is waiting anxiously for this work to be done, and we will push as hard as we can to meet the May 2024 deadline.
How confident are we in the May 2024 deadline? Because this is not a criticism, but we all recognize that the deadline has moved out each time we've talked about it. So I'd really like to know for the public how we know we can build our confidence in the deadline. And it's truly not criticism. I know this is challenging and we don't have control over it, but how do we sort of really establish what the expectation should be?
Good question. In fact, in the past, it was very easy to answer that question, but now with all supply chain issues, that's what everybody seems to be pointing to. But your point is well taken. We'll pass it on to the project team and ask them to really get a firm deadline.
Yeah, and what we can do, if there's anything we can do to help. I know that we aren't the folks with the expertise, but this is a huge priority for the town.
MWRA, the key headline is that DCI has opened the door for a conversation with the town.
Nice.
Yeah. So we are hoping to schedule that meeting soon. And then I'm also requesting the board authorize the town manager to execute the construction access licenses for the Lake Maspinock Dam repair project. You may recall we received town meeting approval to fund the project at $400,000. Since then, we were able to apply for successfully a grant in the amount of $337,000. We've also had conversations with our engineers as well as the Sweeneys, leading to some change in how we will access the project. Previously, we had identified 2 lots that we could access through the Sweeneys. These lots are owned by the Sweeneys, but we no longer need lot 3. So we'll only need 1 lot, and I am pleased to share with the board that the Sweeneys did provide a signed agreement this afternoon. So we are in agreement. We've also been in conversations with the town of Milford, and we arrived at the conclusion that a much more efficient access to the project area would be through Lot 44, which is owned by Milford. We have negotiated the attached access license with Milford, and we're hoping that we will be able to sign this and move forward. And then we also had put a special act request to take land by eminent domain in Milford. That is going through the legislative process in Boston. It went through the Judiciary Committee. We're hoping that they will issue a favorable ruling, and following that, the bill will go to the House of Representatives for its action.
Well, that's a lot of work. Yeah, appreciate that. Okay. Anybody have any questions? Yeah.
I just, about PFAS. I was talking to Representative Rena DeRosa, and he gave me a name, and I think it was Moran, but I'm not actually sure, and I will find out about another representative who's trying to bring something before the legislature about helping towns that have had PFAS as a fire departments that have had it as a fire problem. And of course, we had the fire out here. We did foam. We had the academy here in town, and we did foam. And foam is a thing that is big on PFAS. So I really would like to see us get in touch with that legislator, maybe through James. And I've given him some information that I could find on the training center here and the foam, but there isn't much. And I haven't been able to find much out there. But I think that we should at least send our thoughts and apply for whatever benefits the fire department service is looking for anywhere, because we deserve it.
Okay, I had a couple of questions too. The Southborough Interconnection Project, will we have any votes for that at the town meeting this year, or that's not a year away?
We're not so sure yet. We have a meeting with the engineers. We want to see how the 30% design progresses, and if it points us to any specific budget requests or other related town meeting actions required, we will let the board know.
The intermunicipal agreement should be on there, right?
Yes.
Do we just sign that ourselves as a select board?
The select board has the authority to sign the IMA, but it's up to the board to decide whether you need to take it to town meeting.
We can keep a placeholder. What is the status on the IMA?
Team is scheduled to speak with John from Southborough. And I'm hoping that this will be the last round of their discussions. Okay. And coming out of that, we will then forward some of the business terms to the legal teams to work out the exact language for them.
Great. Okay, great.
So to clarify, the IMA, the select board can sign, but the path probably we all chose earlier was, or refresh me if I'm misstating, is we're going to pass here and then it'll go to town vote and it'll be passed there.
That has not been decided. The select board can sign the IMA without going to town meeting. However, the appropriation for the project
that
has to go to town meeting.
Yeah.
But we're probably not ready for that.
Yes, we may not be ready for that.
Not ready for that, okay.
Yes.
And the other comment about the Lake Maspinock Dam, I've said this before too, just we have this Lake Maspinock Dam Committee that's kind of defunct. Like, I feel like while we're doing all this stuff about the dam, it seems like we should either dissolve that committee or reactivate it. It seems like they should wait.
Pretty sure there's a joke in there about that damn committee.
Yes.
Yeah. I have a comment on the MWRA, just going back briefly. Last year you had a nice timeline view of the MWRA various key milestones. Do we have something like this for this year, and maybe a little bit unknown, but next year that would help everyone to kind of mind map to that?
We'll provide an updated project schedule.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you very much, Mr. Kamalo. Liaison reports and board invites. Go ahead.
We had a
Shonda.
motion for the Lake Maspinock.
Oh, yes, thank you. Appreciate you. Yep,
Do I move it?
yep.
I move to authorize the town manager to execute construction access licenses with the town of Milford and with William and Catherine Sweeney to access certain parcels of land off Pine Island Road in the town of Milford.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, any abstentions? Great, thanks, Shonda, good job.
I do have one liaison, but others.
Yep, go. Do you have anything, Shonda?
No.
No, okay.
We didn't have the
So
meeting.
the Commission on Disability is having their public forum on, let's see, Tuesday, January 22nd, at the Senior Center at 7 p.m. And there will be a Google Meet option as well, and there's a press release on the town website. And just we're looking to hear from all kinds of residents, even whether or not they have a disability, if maybe they have a relative with a disability, or they own a business in town and would like to make their business more accessible. And then just anybody who can add to the conversation if they know about grants or know about things that other towns are doing better, that we could work on what's going well in Hopkinton, what could be improved, just to kind of get all the ideas out there. And we've tried to invite a variety of board and committee chairs that might have relevant info. But anyway, hope to see a lot of people there.
That's great, and thank you, Amy. Just to note it, the date, venue, and time.
Yeah, January 22nd, 7 p.m., Senior Center.
Thank you.
What time, 7 PM?
Yep.
Mary Jo?
Other than working on the senior article, I have been to a couple of things. I have an MWRTA transportation meeting coming up in February. We haven't had one for a little while, so I'm looking forward to that. Let me see, what else have I done? I have talked about to the cemetery commissioners, various subjects, and worked with the marathon committee, and we're moving forward. They're moving forward. The race is coming up in April, and I'm just, that's really about what I've done in the last few weeks, so.
Go ahead.
And I think a lot of us were there, but the planning board had their first public hearing on the MBTA zoning, zoning bylaw that will be at town meeting in May. And it's, you know, a big complicated issue. And they have a presentation that was in their meeting packet last time that I would encourage everybody to look at. And the hearing is continued, so people can continue to give feedback either by going to the meetings or writing to the planning board.
Yeah. When was it continued to?
They had
Was it
one
very
yesterday,
next?
and they have 2 more.
Yeah.
Two more hearings. Okay.
I don't remember when it's continued to, probably whatever their next meeting.
I imagine it's the next meeting as well, to be honest, but
Yeah, I think Amy and I attended yesterday. It was
I was on too.
very informative.
yeah.
You were on too, yeah.
Yeah,
It was very
assessing.
informative, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's a big, complicated issue, and it'll be important for people to get as informed as they can and ask as many questions as they can. Yeah, I was gonna mention that too. Thanks, Amy, and thanks, Shadul. So I wanted to just, let's see, I want to make sure that our next meeting is Thursday, 7 o'clock at HCAM with the school committee and the appropriations committee. And then we have a meeting next week at the senior center on the 16th at 5 o'clock for the hearing for the police matter. And for the next agenda, I want to make sure that we put a discussion item for the transition planning for Mr. Kamalo's transition. And I apologize, I missed the, going through the packet, I missed the detail on the inclusionary zoning, the voting. So I would like that to be on again so that I can be more prepared. I don't know how I missed it, I went flying right by it. And then I wanted to update folks as liaison to the police department in particular and the fire department. So we had the opportunity, select board members had the opportunity to meet individually at the police station on the matter of the candidates for promotion, to discuss the promotion plan with Chief Bennett, and to also, the intention was to interview candidates if desired. I don't think that piece happened. It didn't happen for me, but if people want to follow up with the individual candidates, that is an option that is available to them. We did the review, and Chief Bennett will facilitate making the connection if folks want to speak to either or both of the candidates. And then I also asked, John Moore was there, who is the former police chief in Holliston. He outlined his process when he was police chief in Holliston, so I included that in the memo. And what he did was present finalist candidates, multiple candidates for each position to the select board. Select board members were invited, as we have done this time, to review pertinent personnel files. The finalists were then interviewed by the select board, and the select board makes the selection from those finalists. So that was, I appreciated that insight from Holliston. We expect to have the promotion discussion, interviews, and selection process on our meeting on the 30th. As long as all goes well with any conversations that folks have. Then just to give you an update going forward, Chief Bennett intends to post another sergeant's exam following this. And also, he and I talked, we had a nice opportunity to talk that evening, and he will initiate the process soon, and we'll ask him about it. We can put it on the agenda whenever he might want it on the agenda, but he's going to initiate the process to identify candidates for the select board to interview and select from to fill the lieutenant position, which has been open for quite some time. So that's really good news. And then we also agreed that the select board would initiate the process to search for and hire a deputy chief. So we should have that on the agenda in the future to discuss and open that process. John Moore, who has been serving as a support to Chief Bennett while we've been understaffed at the senior staffing level, will be overseeing drafting the RFP and managing the process to hire a vendor to complete an independent department review that we expect to be completed in Q1 of 2024. So that review should be done in the next 90 days. I have included here, but we talked about it before, the components of that review, what will be addressed. And then, let's see, that's that. And then I think that's it, actually. That was it. I wanted to make sure that I had announced the future meetings as well, the dates of the meetings. So a pretty lengthy update. We had a nice opportunity to have a conversation. I had a long conversation with John Moore, which was really nice. He's worked for the town a number of times, has helped the police department with strategic planning, is doing the same thing again for us, as well as supporting Chief Bennett on a number of initiatives. So that was a nice opportunity. And then also had a really good opportunity to speak at length with Chief Bennett and get some agreement on some of the things that we're going to do going forward. So that was really welcome and beneficial. And I see, just one more update, I see Chief Doherty in the back. So congratulations, and we really appreciate you being here, and we really appreciate, or we congratulate you. We're feeling great about you being officially the chief. So thanks for being here, and that is a piece of really good news for the town.
Well, I just want to mention the TV stat too.
A TV, oh yeah, the very next day.
He did very well on that Monday morning.
Yeah, I didn't see your TV debut there as chief, but I heard all about it.
And I realized you had a very busy week that week and the following week, so thank you for all the
What a way to
service.
start.
Yeah.
They're ready for tonight. Get ready for the storm tonight and the weather.
And I think they've expressed this to you personally, but my neighbors on Grove Street are very, very appreciative of all the work that the fire and police and even neighboring towns came to help them in the cars. Ran into their houses. That was quite the day.
Quite the day. Yeah, congratulations to your department for responding, and the police department for responding so promptly to what could have been a really horrible incident. We're lucky that it was property damage, and that's hard enough for folks. So, okay. I think that's it. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting at
Second.
8:10.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?